All right, so today I want to talk a little bit about this whole poll from Global News, and it's titled "Do you think Bill Morneau should resign?" And 13,387 votes, 77.2% of people say yes. Now, again, the first thing to always point out is that Global News is a leftist news outlet. In fact, every mainstream media outlet in Canada is. Um, Especially the big ones. I mean, the bigger they are, the more leftist they are, it seems. I mean, Toronto Star and those kind of places excluded, but you know, um, this is something I guess I wanted to kind of rant for a few reasons on this. The first one being is that in Canada, people always talk about our democracy, and our democracy is so great, and democracy this and democracy that, and we're completely propagandized in school about democracy and democracy this, and again, it's just I don't care. We don't live in a democracy. We live in a country to where, if the majority of people believe what the politicians want them to believe, then yeah, we're a democracy. Yay, we're a democracy. But when the majority of people don't go along with the garbage, then all of a sudden, oh, we're not a democracy anymore. The vast majority of Canadians to this day don't want mass immigration, but yet, what do we get? Mass immigration. The clear majority. I mean, again, this is just a Twitter poll, but I would be very surprised if an actual vote was put towards it that Bill Morneau should resign. And again, it's for the simple reason too that I mean, one of two things happened here. Um, his claim, the first one being is what he said happened, is that he just magically forgot that he took $41,000 from We again. So that's his excuse that he's so incompetent that you just magically forget about $41,000. And this is the guy that's running the finances of the country. This again, I'll repeat that. The guy that just magically forgot about $41,000 just magically forgot about $41,000. And again, like I say, that is the guy that's running the finances of Canada. And yet you still have people that, oh, I stand with Bill Morneau. Like, this is literally the equivalent of having a monkey running the finances of Canada here. Now, what is the reality? The reality is that that is the excuse. The excuse is that I'm guessing he was probably well aware of the $41,000, but he wanted to try and throw out some cover, and the cover was, oh, I just forgot. But the reality is that he probably was aware of it. He probably just didn't want people to know that because that makes him look even worse. So that is the problem. That again, how do you just magically forget about? And not to mention too, the guy is very wealthy. I believe his wife is um, family is the owners of the McCain Foods, so their net worth probably in the tens of millions of dollars, maybe even more. Who knows? But very very wealthy. So it is possible that just magically forgot about $41,000. I mean, when you're that rich, it's probably the equivalent of like $400 for the average person. But again, that just goes to show that even if that is the case, that he's incredibly tone deaf, and that if you're the finance minister, you should be able to understand life from the average Canadian's position. And the average Canadian, $41,000 is almost a year's salary or a year's earnings. So that's pretty rather insane to think about. But again, the main point here being is that Canada is not a democracy. Like, why in the world do we pretend we're a democracy? I mean, the only difference between us and the countries that literally have the mock, like the North Korea or the Soviet Union, like the only difference between us and them is that we actually think that we're free. Now we're free to an extent. I mean, we're not completely enslaved, at least not yet. But like I say, the point being is that we get a democracy when what the majority of people want is okay with what the politicians and the elites want. Then yeah, we're a democracy, like I said. But when it isn't, then all of a sudden, no, we're not going to do that. I'm sorry, guys, we can't do that again. It's rather insane. Like, it's rather insane that that's where we're at in Canada. And I mean, Justin Trudeau too. Like, how many times, how many ethics violations is it going to take? Like, I would like to hear. I would like to hear from a leftist is that just how many of these kind of things need to come up before you need to rethink Justin Trudeau. And this is the thing too, that even if Justin Trudeau stepped down, the Liberals would still be running the government too. The reason they don't want to admit that Justin Trudeau is wrong and think that he should step down is because that is it makes him look like a disgrace. That, look at how stupid we were. We supported a guy who's clearly, and I mean even to this point, even before this, incredibly corrupt. Like, we supported him this entire time. We completely ignored that. But if they can just pretend that's not the case, I mean, the other thing that they always go to is whataboutism. Oh, Stephen Harper this, Stephen Harper that. But Stephen Harper wasn't doing stuff on this kind of scale. He wasn't doing stuff on this kind of scale. And I mean, this is taking it to a whole new level. And again, it's like I said, that I don't think there's anything that Justin Trudeau could do to get to lose support from most of his supporters. And the left would fire back with, "Oh, it's the same with Jason Kenney or with Doug Ford or with anyone." But again, the difference, like I always point out, is that especially the average right-wing voter, the average right-wing politician is a little different on this one. But the average right-wing voter wants government to be more decentralized. They want government to be more controlled and more small. And what happens with a more decentralized government is that the possibility of corruption goes down, because again, there's not as much stuff to take because it's more decentralized. The government doesn't have as much power, so the likelihood of corruption goes down. So again, it's a massive difference. Is that the leftist solution to government corruption is to just give the government more power. It's like the same thing with a corrupt cop. It's, rather than punishing the guy, we're just going to give him more. We're going to promote the guy. We're going to give him more power. That is the leftist solution. The leftist solution is to give more power, more regulation, which benefits the government and benefits the crony capitalists that they tend to work with. And like I say, crony capitalists, because again, capitalism isn't corrupt by nature and all this kind of garbage that the left thinks. That is the reality. Again, that is the reality. So again, the main thing being here is Canada's not a democracy. We are pretty much in name only. And two, I don't think there's anything that could happen to this government to get people to at least enough people to vote them out to change things. I don't know if anything they could do, because again, the media is so biased in their favors. The public schools and the universities are so biased to the left. All that, I mean, social media is incredibly biased to the left. They have such an unfair advantage that it's literally the equivalent to, having to start a hockey game down like 3 or 4-0. Like it's having to start a football game down like 3-4 touchdowns. And that's where we're at too. That the only way for them to get voted out is for them to play that badly that they start a game up 3 or 4-0 and they end up losing. Like, that's the only way that they're going to lose, and that's the problem with how things are going. So anyway, I'm gonna leave the video there. If you'd like to, make sure to hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my check out the other 3 things: Twitter, Parlay, and BitChute. Check out all the links are in the description, so you can find them all there.